Welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast that's all about real conversations for real transformation. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, professional speaker, MC, and best-selling international author. Here, we tackle the tough stuff, the mud that we all have found ourselves in. We talk about the pivots, the challenges, and the victories that shape our lives and our businesses. From overcoming trauma and finding your voice to navigating life's unexpected twists, we get raw, honest, and open. You'll hear from inspiring guests who share their stories of resilience, healing, and growth. Whether it's breaking through emotional abuse, embracing self-worth, or thriving in entrepreneurship, you'll find connection, empowerment, and the tools to keep you moving forward. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for stories that hit home and conversations that make a difference. Let's get real together. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I am so excited to have you here with me today, and I have a phenomenal guest. Talk about high energy, just really great, real, authentic person. Todd, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Hi, Kat. I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh. I love what you're doing. I love your energy. Let's get to it.
Oh, thank you so much. I love yours and I love your podcast. Like the energy that comes out through your podcast is just as it's like it seeps in. You're like, yes, as I listen to it. So as we dive in, please do us a favor then and tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you. So I am a keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and positive intelligence coach. And we'll talk a little bit about that hopefully on the show. I own a digital marketing company. That's the entrepreneurial side of me. But I also love keynote speaking. Anytime I can get an opportunity to speak to folks and share my message of positivity and cultivating a growth mindset. So that's really what I'm all about. And as you mentioned, I'm also host of the Bolt podcast, which is all about personal growth, leadership, and shifting your mindset. So
Yeah. And I think that's like my favorite. After learning about how you can shift your mindset and how much control we ultimately have when we kind of make those hard decisions and choose to do the things that make us uncomfortable, for me, it was mind blowing, but at the same time, it was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Like it almost became like a really good addiction when it comes to like leaning into that.
that's so funny. I actually say this all the time. So I went from I don't know how far back we want to go into my journey, but as many people, I had some struggles throughout life and have overcome those obstacles. But I struggled with drugs and alcohol at an early age, and at that point, I was addicted, to destroying my brain. And then there was a life-changing incident that happened when I was around 21, and then I really committed to kind of a personal growth journey. And that has escalated over the years, obviously, and seasons in life. But so I went from, again, destroying my brain to being addicted to growing my brain. And I had no idea and going through this positive intelligence program. So I went through the program as a client during COVID, and I
Oh, okay.
essentially rewired my brain, through neuroplasticity. I rewired, I laid down new tracks and rebuilt that gray matter on the right side to build kind of my mental muscle. And I'm a whole new person. Like that program literally changed my life. And that's why I'm committed to coaching and sharing that with as many people as I can, because we certainly need more positivity in this world right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that there is so much division because people have shifted their focus into how much my opinion matters. And it's not that your opinion doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean that every single second of your entire life and every thought that comes through your head needs to be shared on social media or shoved out into somebody else. Like everybody has their 2 cents, but I really do think that when you shift into a space of curiosity, a space of
Mm,
understanding, which leans into that space of positivity. I mean, ultimately, I feel like that's kind of like the effect of leaning into those spaces. You start to understand that kind of like when you're, I guess my parents used to say they would like pick your battles. But
mm,
it's not like it's hard to choose because you're like, that's just not worth my time and energy. I would prefer to stay in this mode, which is positive, which is happy, which
hmm
is fulfilling, versus sitting in this. And don't get me wrong, I find myself still to this day catching myself in cycles, right? I mean, I think that that is part of the human experience
hmm
is you're still going to have those. But the cool part of it when you start to shift, and especially when you are building that neuroplasticity, which I love this word, you you start to be able to see it a lot quicker. You start to not have to sit in that space for days, weeks, and months at a time. And it's a lot easier, I feel like, and I'd love to know how this works for you, but like for me, it's easier for me to like stop it in its tracks and then be like, I'm sorry. What
mm,
is going on? Why are we thinking about that? I,
right.
I choose not to. And then you get to, again, right? We come back to that control. You get to
hmm
choose to shift how you think, what you believe, and what you want to focus on. And it just becomes a lot easier versus what tend to see across social media and with older friends and family is we're allowing those intrusive thoughts that I hate to tell you guys, but most of the time is bull crap to begin with. And you're
hmm
allowing that to rule your day to day. And because of that, you are missing out on so much in life that you
Yep.
could enjoy.
Yep. Oh man, here we go. Let's unpack that because that's my world. That's my world, Kat. So where to start? And here's the thing, Kat. There's a lot of great resources, a lot of great coaching programs, a lot of different modalities out there, right? There's been a ton of research on neuroscience, neuroplasticity. This stuff works. It works. But here's the thing, and this is the piece that I'm most interested in right now. So if you go back to Carol Dweck's work on mindset, she was really the pioneer of this. And she talks about starting in a fixed mindset, if you think of it as a continuum, and you go to an open or growth mindset.
Mhm.
That's kind of the continuum that she came up with. But I've actually changed that a little bit, and I think there's another piece. So it's a fixed, open, and then there's this kind of continuum of growth. You start with small growth and then you build, right? You compound that growth with time and consistency. But here's the trick, and this is what I'm really interested in is the people that are on fixed,
Mm.
stuck on fixed. And like you just said, you are missing out on so much life, so much happiness. Like you can get there. It's beautiful. And I'm a living case study, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the key here that I'm finding, my opinion, it's all wrapped around curiosity. So if we can tap into, here's the thing, we all had curiosity at one point in our life. Think about yourself. Close your eyes and think about yourself at 5 years old, right? You're on the playground and you're just exploring, discovering. You don't give a damn about what's happening, right? Or what people are thinking about you. You're just out there. Or when you started riding a bike, right? You had that freedom and you just started to go out and explore. You were curious. So the thing is, we all had it. And then we get older and we get into our career and have kids and family and we get busy and we lose. We get into this box and we lose our curiosity. So, what I'm trying to do, my goal is to ignite that spark of curiosity. So, if you can start at fixed, think about curiosity. That's the open mindset, right? So now you're least open to it. Try one thing, one habit, 21 to 30 days, and then you start to build and grow. It is absolutely beautiful. When I started this journey, Kat, and this is after drugs and alcohol, and I got through that, um, and I committed to myself, right, mind, body, soul. Um, I had a really voracious temper and a bad attitude and little to no patience at all. And this is just how I grew up. Parents were wonderful, but my mom had still has some issues, and that's how I grew up. And I just thought it was okay. And it hindered me my whole life. When I was a child, I was very competitive, played a ton of sports. I would get thrown out of baseball games. I would get more red cards in soccer than any child I ever knew. And that became my brand. And it was kind of funny to my friends, like, Todd Bertsch with the hothead Bertsch is what I was called.
Mm,
And it just became a thing. And I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and back then mental health and none of this stuff was around, or at least people weren't talking about it, right? Just get back out there and do your thing.
yeah.
Um, but when I got introduced to positive intelligence, I was able to build a pause button. It changed my whole freaking life. I mean, to tell you. So
Mm,
now I just come into any situation, any scenario, and I stop and I pause. And that's the key. It's just slowing the hell down. Just slow down for a minute before you respond, before you react. Just stop. Take it in. Give yourself a minute to breathe. It goes back to like the draft box strategy. Like just write it down and put it away, file it away, and come back to it the next day. The likelihood of what you were going to do or say is going to be different. So if you can just pause, right? And that has changed my whole life. Like little things, Kat, like driving. Oh my God, I was that guy, like road rage dude. And
yes.
somebody cut me off,
So
or they're,
me.
they're at a light too long on their phone or whatever. I would lay on the horn, flip them off. I'm like, and then I get into a negative mindset and I'm spiraling potentially the rest of the day. It's just throwing me
Hmm.
off, and that is not healthy, right? So the littlest things would bother me on top of just, the bigger things. So once I recognized that, oh my gosh, I can actually fix this, I can change my mindset, I can actually rewire my brain. Are you kidding me? I thought I destroyed it all back when I was younger. No, you can rewire it. You can lay down new tracks. Now, this takes time, right? It's all about repetition, all about consistency and that same
Yeah.
message. And it's about building your mental muscle. But that's what I was able to do. Over time, now things don't bother me. I just stop, and I am an awesome father now, an awesome parent. I am a great leader. Like all my relationships are better. My career is better. Every single thing in my life is better because I went through this program. But I made a choice. And that's the key here. Just making a choice, right? To be open to the idea of trying something new. And
Mm,
it can change your life. It can change your life. I don't know where I would be right now if I hadn't taken those steps, right, to shift.
yeah.
It's beautiful. So sorry, went off on a kind of a rant there, but
No,
I'm
I
obviously you can
love
see I'm very
it.
passionate about it. And I'm a
Yeah.
case study. Like I've been through the program, and it takes time and commitment, but just like anything that's worthwhile, it's going to take a little bit of work. So you got to be willing to do the work, but it's not hard work. It's just making a little bit of time for it.
Hmm.
That's it.
No, I appreciate you sharing this. And to be completely honest, coming from a male perspective, I think it's even more powerful because we are seeing that women are empowering each other and they're looking to shift the way that they see and do things. And I do feel like we're still in this really real weird space with our men. And I did this with my boys when they were younger until I realized that that was because it's how I grew up and that wasn't how things need to be
Hmm.
done, which was, like you were talking about earlier, that get up, brush it off, you're good, you're strong, shut up, don't cry kind of a
Hmm.
thing. And
Yep.
I grew up like that as well. So I did that with my boys for a really long time. And it wasn't until I realized that me having anger issues and unresolved traumas from the domestic abuse that I had been through and how that was now shaping and affecting my teenage boys. My boys are now
Hmm.
20 and 17. And I didn't want them to go out into the world like every other man feels like they have to. And my husband and I
Hmm.
have had conversations about this as well. He's 13 years older than me. So he grew up in that generation where you just suck it up. And I'm like, but it's
Hmm.
so debilitating. And don't get me wrong, there are women that grow up in this as well. But what
Hmm.
I'm saying is I am seeing this a lot more with our men. It's more predominant in our men. And so for you to be open and to have these kinds of conversations and explain, like, I understand, I think it comes from a space where those that have been kind of teeter-tottering of like, I feel like I want to do something different. I want to be closer to my girlfriend or my wife or, my spouse, but I don't know how to do it because I'm supposed to be this male figure. And I feel like in some retrospect, you are breaking down that stigma of what we have created men or strong people that are
Hmm.
supposed to be. And when you were talking about you've created this button of pause, I needed that. I was so competitive. I always had to do the best. I always had to be better than everybody. I never let anybody see me hurt, upset, down. And that really did take a toll, not only on me, but in the relationship that I was in through that domestic abuse. Part of that stubbornness is what kept me there. There was a lot of
Hmm.
guilt and shame and other things that come on top
Right.
of that, but that is part of the reason why I stayed for 10 years. And then bringing my boys out of that space and not even realizing that anything is wrong, right? And like you said, you start to tear your body down. I mean, I was diagnosed with anxiety, I was diagnosed with depression, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and all these different things. And I'm blessed now because of the work that I've done that I
Hmm.
don't deal with those. I have heart moments where it's like, ooh.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and I feel like everybody gets that, right? But it's the difference, like you said, where you get to choose
Hmm.
where you focus and where you shift, and that creating those new neurons and creating that new pathway that you
Yeah.
want to take, right? It's just like anyone that wants to try anything. If you've never danced and you want to dance, you're going to have to put in the work, and it's going to have
Hmm.
to be consistent. And while it may feel uncomfortable and it may feel hard in the beginning, right? It's because it's the unknown. It's the same thing when it comes to your mindset. It's
Hmm.
just an unknown. That's all that is. And what you are doing is taking the step to walk into that space of the unknown and say, you know what, I want to try this out. And you're creating that new habit. You're creating that new space, and you're choosing to go down that path. And I feel like we don't understand how much that and your mindset and your choice is tied to everything else that you do in your life. And so I need you to give us an example or kind of explain positive intelligence,
Hmm.
because I know that I've had people on here that do emotional intelligence
Hmm.
and all these different things. And while I kind of understand what you're saying, I'd love for you to kind of specify for the audience of like, what is positive intelligence?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, what it boils down to is building your mental muscle. So in its simplest form, that's essentially what we're doing. It's backed by tons of research through positive intelligence. So Shirzad Chamine wrote the book Positive Intelligence, New York Times bestseller, and then he created what he calls the PQ program, um, which is an app assisted program. So you go through coaching, so you learn the exercises of building your mental muscle. And you do this with daily reps, just like you would go to the gym, right? So you start off just small, short reps, and then you start to build that. And that goes on through a year or through years. I've been doing it for 5 years. But essentially that's what you're doing. And there's a part in the beginning where you take an assessment to recognize what your saboteurs are. And I think
Ooh,
that's what you're talking about, right? So we all
yeah.
have these fear-based saboteurs, right? And Shirzad labels, there's 10 of them. We all have those. And whether we want it or not, we get those when we're a child and they just stick with us. Essentially, it's the lens, right, through which we see the world. That is our mindset, right? All of our beliefs, all of our assumptions about ourselves and the world are all through our mindset, and those are set with us. But here's the beautiful thing, you can change that mindset, right? So you don't have to wear that lens anymore. It's okay. That's how we were, right? We're built for survival. That is our survival brain, right? The left side of our brain, that fear-based brain. But through building our mental muscle, we're we're building the more gray matter on the right side, which is our what Shirzad calls the sage part of our brain, right? And that is the happy, joy, excitement, curiosity, fun piece. So again, shifting from a negative to a positive, and you do that over time. So once you recognize what your saboteurs are, right? And they could be like mine used to be hyperachiever, stickler.
Hmm.
Those are my two. And it's funny, I just took the test a few weeks ago after 4 years of going through this program. Hyperachiever still there, no surprise there. But pleaser is another one, and that came to the
Mm,
forefront. And there's reasons why I'm such a pleaser. And there's symptoms, right? So the first step is just recognizing that we all have saboteurs, and it's okay, recognizing what those are, and then being able to make changes, right, to avoid those. And you will have blips, and that's okay, right? And you need to see that blip as an opportunity to build your muscle, right? That's how I look at it. And the whole premise, there's one message that I love that is the underlying foundation of all this. And really, if your audience just takes away this one thing, and when I'm giving presentations, I say, hey, this is the one golden nugget slide, right? If you take one thing away from this presentation, take a picture of this. You can, right, with everything, right? You can change your perspective, right? You can find the gift and the opportunity in every scenario.
mm,
If you dig hard enough, if you can come in with just a little bit of curiosity and an open mindset, there is a gift and an opportunity in every situation. When you put on that lens, the world looks a whole lot different, right? So, for instance, I'll give you an example. I hate raking leaves. I don't know about you. Um, I hate raking leaves. Most people do. It sucks, right? It's a couple of hours, 4 weekends out of the year, usually on Sunday. I don't want to do it. So I can come into this, right, with a negative mindset, right? And it might spiral. I'm thinking about it on Friday and Saturday. Oh gosh, Sunday, my whole day, half my day, these doggone leaves. Or I can find the gift and the opportunity. So I can shift my mindset. And I come into it and I say, okay, I'm going to be outside. I love being outside. Great. It might be sunny out. I might get some vitamin D. Great. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of labor. I'm going to get some exercise. Gift. Oh, I'm way behind on podcasts that I want to listen to. Oh, I can actually learn and burn through a couple episodes of podcasts. Gift. And then the cherry gift, my wife's happy. Item checked off the to-do list. Gift, 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 gift. And all I did was just come in with a little bit of curiosity and open mind, and I just shifted. It's a silly example that I use in my presentations, but these are the silly things that we go through every single day that put us into a negative mindset, and it just throws off our whole day.
mm.
That's it. Just coming in with an open mind, finding the
It's
gift.
it's
It's
really
there.
interesting. It's when you think about like when you start to break it down, and I think this is where like logically it started to really make sense for me was how all of the small things end up having such a huge impact. I
Hmm.
know that there used to be what was it? There used to be a book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and
Hmm.
had all these little, and I remember reading that as a teenager. And but um when I think back to the things that used to irritate me, it wasn't big, huge things.
Hmm.
I thrived in chaos because of the
Hmm.
things that I had been through, but it was the little things like I used to plan out my weekends with my kids, and I would be like, okay, we're going to do this on this day, but then on this day, I've got to run to this store, this store, this store, and this store. And that was part of me trying to control everything that I'd never been able to control for so long,
Controller
right?
is one of the saboteurs.
And so I would lead with that and I'd be like, we're going to get it all done.
Hmm.
And what's really interesting is if for some reason I couldn't get to that store in that line, or I had to go to it last, or I ended up having to do it on a different day, that was it. The whole day was shot, everything was screwed, nothing got done. Like it's really interesting to think back and kind of giggle to be like, it really wasn't that big of a deal.
So,
Like you
Kat,
can order it.
I'm smiling right now because, oh my gosh, I did the exact same thing. I lived like that. It would drive me nuts. So we're hyperachievers, right? We have our to-do list, and my gosh, we better check those items off, right? And it would
Yep.
just throw me off. And that takes time. But again, finding the gift. So I'll give another silly example. I take Zyrtec D for, allergies and stuff. Have to get it every couple of weeks. Pain in the butt because it's over the counter, so you got to go. And during COVID, all the pharmacy hours were
Oh
changed, or
yeah.
they weren't there, or were closed. So one day I'll walk in during my lunchtime, Pick this up. I didn't want to do it anyhow. Didn't really have the time. I go in, and when you know, they're closed. No sign, nothing. And the old me was about to get mad, right? I felt it. But because I've done this work, I grabbed it, I caught it, I recognized it, and I just laughed. Literally, LOL'd. I'm like, you are so silly. These people need a break too. So what? All right. What's the gift here? Just get through it. These people need a break too. So I just walked out and I said, well, I'm just going to have to come back another day. But usually that I would have been yelling. Probably would have found a manager. What? You got to be kidding me. They're not here. There's no hours. I didn't know. I waste my time. Whatever. Oh, it
Hmm.
was me. But anyhow, so yeah, getting back to you, I totally get it. Yeah, I have it. I've planned it out. I plan out a little bit now, but I just ebb and flow. And it's just doing
Yeah.
the work and just not letting the small things in life get in the way.
Yeah, yeah. And what you said too is, you said that you found yourself laughing at yourself. I feel like since I have done the work, I laugh at more things that should piss me off more than I think I ever have in my entire life. Like sometimes, I'll give you a funny example because I know that before this would have just ticked me off to no end, and it would have been like the world ended. I remember I was outside and I was trying to get some stuff done before I had to go on camera for something. I can't remember if it was an interview or what it was. And so I was out there and I was getting my stuff done and I turned the water off and I just tossed the hose down. Well, you know how when you have the sprayers on it, right? If you don't toss it just
I know where this is
right,
going. Yeah, go ahead. I know where
so
it's
I
going.
tossed it, and wouldn't you know that the sprayer handle stuck? And not only did it just spray me, it was right in the face. I mean, like
I'm
dead
sorry,
in the
but
face.
I've done it. I've done it too. Yeah, I'm like,
And when it happened, I was like, what? And I remember laughing so hard. And I was like, you know what? Why were you in such a rush that you had to toss it on the ground
right.
just so that you could get back inside? You have plenty of time. I was like, it's fine. It's not that
Right.
big of a deal. But all I did was I just laughed at myself. And I
Yeah.
know that years before, that would have
Mm.
been the end. Like that would have been
Oh,
the end. My
I would
kids would
have.
have got it later. I would have been yelling at everybody. I'd have been
Yep.
so ticked at that one
Yep.
little thing. One of the other things that I find interesting that I'd love to know if you resonate with this as well is since doing the work and starting with these small things of just, like you said, trying to find the gift in
Hmm.
it. I have also noticed that it means I have started to recognize the small things of joy around me. I'll give you
Mm.
an example. My husband always giggles at me, and now he takes pictures so that he can post it and tell people about it. But we'll go out for walks, and
Mhm.
sometimes we'll go out like maybe in the weekend, early in the morning. And I have a fascination right now with little mini mushrooms. I just think they're the cutest thing. I love
Mhm.
taking pictures of them or empty walkways in the forest. And I will stop us in the middle of a walk and be like, wait, I got to go take this picture. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I found it. Look how cute it is. It's like right there in the moss and it's just growing by itself. But I think about that and I'm like, beforehand, when I would take walks, and I would take walks outside, I love being outside. I can't tell you that I ever paid attention to anything around me besides, like, oh, there's a bunch of pretty flowers. Like, you were gonna notice that. Or there's a waterfall. Oh, that's pretty. And you look at it for a couple minutes and you walk off. Whereas now I find myself taking so much more time and like integrating everything that I walk through and noticing all of the things around me.
Yep. No, that absolutely resonates with me. That's all about being present, right, in the moment. And when you can slow down, and I think people need to build some space too. We run so hot, right? Back
Hmm.
to back to back to back to back. Give yourself some buffer. Like literally if you're a calendar person, Google Calendar or Outlook like I am, like give yourself some buffer space, 15, 30 minutes so that you're not rushing because that's what used to fuel me. I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So for the pharmacy to be closed, oh man, now I got to rework my schedule, right? I only had this one little earmark here of time. So having some space, but also going through the practice, right? So positive intelligence or really a gratitude practice or meditation, all of these things will help you build build that presence, right? To be more they're mindful practices. So you can build that muscle so that you can be more present in the everyday things. And I do the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. I was out on my deck about a month ago grilling out and it was a snowstorm. Like it was barreling down. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I'm just stopped. I took some pictures of just the snow falling. I'm like trying to catch snowflakes. And again, it gets just being childlike and being
Yeah.
curious and just having a little fun with it. So I'm here. It's going to happen. I'm going to embrace the snow. You can whine and complain about it all day long. We'll move. Go out to the West Coast. I mean, we're in the seasons here in the Midwest, so enjoy it, embrace it, or I don't know, quit complaining about it. But yeah, I feel you on that. That definitely resonates with me, and that is a beautiful place to be in. And this
Mm-hmm.
is, these are the rewards of doing the work, right? Being able to pause, being able to slow down, being able to laugh at yourself, right? Be vulnerable, building humility, and then also being able to enjoy all the small things. Because when we're just rush, rush, rush and move, you're not. And next thing you know, 10 years go by. You're
Yeah.
like, damn, I missed out. I have regrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
so much. And you keep coming back to these two words, really the one word, which is curiosity,
mm,
which I want everyone to hear, like leaning and learning to have curiosity in what people might be going through, in why somebody acted the way they did, and why your children may have spoke to you in the way that they did. Just like you said, taking that moment of pause and just integrating it versus reacting into it is so,
mhm.
so powerful. And you can start that right now,
Yes,
right now, and
it's
just lean
free.
into that.
Absolutely
Yeah.
free.
Totally, totally free. And then the other thing you said was being childlike. And I think that we as adults forget that we have the option to do that. We're
Hmm.
told to grow up. We're told to stop acting like a kid. We're told to, be more like this because you're
Hmm.
going to have to deal with this. And when I started integrating more childlike things, and funny enough, I use my nephew, who's 3 now,
Hmm.
as one of the people that I learned from. Like I watch him. What are the
Hmm.
things that he's enjoying? What are the things that he's laughing at? What are the things that he's paying attention to? And I look at that from a space of, I know what that feels like. Not a
Right.
space of like, oh, that's so cute. Look at him go. But like actually feeling into that moment with him. Like, oh, that is
Hmm.
so cute. Or, oh, that is so beautiful that he's looking at that. Or, oh, look what he's discovered. How cute. But when you can pull yourself out of that adult box that I feel like we put ourselves in, that also allows, again, that open space, like you're talking about, where we can have curiosity, we can be a little bit more vulnerable. We do tend to own a little bit more of what we did because we're not so focused on
Hmm.
everyone else and all the things, around us. So as we're kind of coming to a close, Todd, I got to ask you, if there's one thing that you could leave the audience with, one thing to give them to help them either like understand why this is so important, or one thing that they can do to start working in how this shift can make a change for them, what would that be?
It all comes down to curiosity. You said it. And I'm going to be writing a book on it in the next couple of years. I've committed to that. It's all about curiosity. If you can lean in and just be curious, your whole outcome, the lens through which you see everything is going to change. And what you do with it, the action you take, that's on you. But just being curious, you're going to just open yourself up to a lot of other opportunities. And that's with parenting, that's with your career, that's in life in general. All your relationships will be better. But I will say that anybody can do this work. There's a lot of free programs that you can do, a lot of practices that you can do that are free. So,
Mm-hmm.
people who don't have the means to go through, some of these expensive programs, books, TED Talks, video, like the internet is as much as the internet and social media can be really bad for us, there are a ton of benefits as well. And
Oh,
if we
yeah.
just, use it as a tool to learn and grow, uh, that'll help us, be better people. But it took me, I'm 54, it took me 50 years to really find happiness, but I found it and I'm still doing the work. I'm still doing the work. I'm still trying to get 1% better every day. But man, I tell you, if you can get there, I wake up every day just stoked for life. stoked for life. And that's just, with a gratitude practice, a little bit of prayer, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of movement in the morning. Own your morning. Own your morning.
Mm,
That is the key. Robin Sharma has a book, The 5 a.m. Club, and he says, own your morning, elevate your life. How you start your day. If you just start with 2 minutes of gratitude practice, what are you most thankful for right now? And really emote it, really get into it. Man, you're going to be focusing on the things you do have and not the things you don't have, right? That is all about a positive life. So sorry, I went on a little bit. That wasn't one thing, but I love it. I mean,
I love it.
it's all about just getting into a positive mindset, and it is a beautiful thing. And it doesn't mean you're weak. I'm resilient. I'm just happy. I live with empathy, but I still hold people accountable,
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to remember as well is when you own you, you're able to then hold yourself accountable and other people accountable. And
Mhm.
there's such a beautiful separation between that. And that in itself, I know took so much weight off of
Mm.
me when I started owning my own stuff. And then I was like, oh, well, that's not mine. It's this beautiful space. So I love that, you talk about this. And again, it comes back to that curiosity, but you've got to be open to any form of this in order to start the space to create the change.
Yep. It only takes one shift. That's it. A lot of people just feel like, oh, I'm going to change the world, change myself in one day, and I need to do all these things. No, one small thing. That's it.
Yep.
5 minutes of your day, one small thing. And when you get that, you celebrate it, you're going to feel so good and so proud. And then you're just going to build and build and build. And next thing you know, you're just a happy, happy, positive machine, you
I
know?
love it. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So Todd, do us a favor then. Tell everybody, how can they find you? How can they connect with you? How can they be in your world?
Yeah, absolutely. I love meeting people, love meeting new people, connecting, hearing about their stories, their journey. We all have a story to tell. We've all been through something. We're all on the struggle bus from time to time, depending on the season in life, right? Yeah, I'd love to connect. You can reach out, find me on my website, toddbertsch.com, learn all about me, or follow me on my social media at The Bolt with Todd B. I have lots. It's all about positivity. So if you're looking, to bring some positivity into your life and into your feed, um, give me a follow and reach out. Love to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much, Chad. Of course, we'll have all that information in the show notes, make it super easy for you to follow, like, and get in touch with Todd. So thank you again so much for your openness and just everything that you've shared today in the podcast.
Now, thank you, Kat. I love you and what you're doing, and appreciate our connection and friendship, and look forward to the many conversations you and I are going to have in the future.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And to everybody else that's out there, again, if you take one thing away from this, it's just being open. You really do have more control than what you think you do. It's just the control that you are seeking is a little bit different than the control that ultimately is going to provide a lot more freedom, a lot more carefree, a lot more happiness in your life. And like Todd said, one thing, 5 minutes a day. That's all you have to start with. It's not about revamping everything of your being. All it is starting small. And truly, those small steps are what we use to build the stepping stones that get us to the top of the mountain that we so desperately seek to be at the top of. So until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference it makes in your life. Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Chat with Kat today, where real stories meet real solutions. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, and share this with someone who may also need to hear this as well. Let's also keep the conversation going. Follow me on socials at The Lotus Effect, connect with our incredible guests, and remember, you are never alone. Your story matters, and you have the ability and the power to rewrite it. You always have a choice. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep showing up as the incredible, unstoppable